Greetings, mind crafters, and welcome to another exciting Minecraft conversation today. My name is Kimberly Quinn, and I'm thrilled to be your hostess with the mostest to have yet another discussion about how to become the boss of your brain. So, what I'd like to talk about today is really, not just professionally. I guess today will be more professionally, but talking about really monitoring where our energy is going because professionally speaking, we spend so much time attempting to be better at what we're bad at or even good at what we're average at when it would be so much better if we sort of poured our energy into becoming great at what we're already good at. And I think some of you know that I joined a mastermind group, and one of the best decisions I've made in my adult life, I'll tell you that. Mostly because they're just really cool, authentic people. And also they're brilliant and they just have, tremendous insight on life. Not just, I mean, there's a reason people are, many people are financially successful is because they also just have a good, sort of blueprint for living. And that's definitely true with this group. I mean, they're so super authentic and have their eye on the prize as far as what is essential, and that's really what I want to talk about. And they're also big fans of Greg McCowan's book Essentialism: The Disciplined Pursuit of Less. And I'll tell you that ever since I bought it, I keep dipping into it and dipping into it because it's really that good. So we're talking about professionally. We often, again, we're trying to get better at things we're not good at, which we're strictly professionally in this conversation, because we're not talking about two partners and one doesn't listen that well, and he or she or they are trying to become a better listener. That's a really good thing. We're talking here about spreading ourselves too thin, which can be easy to do when opportunities arise that are also good opportunities. We No matter how you cut it up, though, there's only 100% of our energy we can put into any one task in any day. I mean, it's just how it is. And there's only, so the 100% of our energy, so we splinter that off. Even if these opportunities are considered good, basically we're going to half-ass it. So we are way better off. And Will Smith has said this. He's talked about his plan A. There's, you don't want to have a plan B because plan B takes away from plan A. And we're saying in general here, obviously there's circumstances with, you know, um, if you're trying to find a place to live and rent, and plan B is a good thing. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about professionally, living your best life. And to do that, we also need to start out by really differentiating between a career and a calling, because there's a big difference. Job, career, and calling. Job, of course, there are tiers, there are levels. And a job, of course, is all about the extrinsic reinforcement. That's the paycheck. And again, we're not poo-pooing that. We all need, or not all, most of us need paychecks. So that's a good thing. A work ethic, it's a great thing. However, that's pretty much what the job has to offer. You might be a little bit happy, but pretty much it's a means to an end. There's not usually a lot of opportunity for growth, might be some. Then the next level is career, of course. So this is where there's education involved often, which includes training. I'm thinking like military training to be an electrician, train to be a plumber, and then you go off and have your own business with that. Someday once you get trained up a bit and get get kind of the grip and handle on how to manage it. And the career, however, usually has like a little bit more of a fill your bucket situation, like really filling you up. There's a lot of reward in it, and there's also investment in it with your, again, education, training, whatever that looks like. That can be college, graduate school, med school, law school. That can also, again, be all the different kinds of vocations and trainings, and all of that's involved in the military as well. So that sort of thing. But it kind of fills you up a little bit more than a job does. Then there's the calling, which is that one thing we were put on this earth to do. So really, that is my main focus here, the career into the calling, sort of my main focus. Listening to that inner voice so that we are, listening to you know, um, that sort of the clues and cues to what will have us living our highest vibe self, running on being fueled by high octane passion towards a life of fulfillment, because there's happiness, which we all want that also, but that's more fleeting, right? Fulfillment, genuine fulfillment is just such an enriched emotion and also state of consciousness if we're talking about flow. And of course, flow is one of my favorites. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi in his work, and he found that when we are truly in the flow zone, let's say Mozart, Michael Phelps, our very own Olympian here in Vermont, Ellie Purrier, runner. She's ran the last Tokyo Olympics. And then we're talking, and I'm naming off famous people right now. And you can, talk about the writers, or think of Ernest Hemingway, and just rattle off a lot, lots and lots of authors who were in the zone when they were writing. You don't have to be well known or super, A-list famous. The dancers that are out there, Barishnikov, and thinking Nadia Comaneci, da 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 da. We can be regular people. I'm in the flow zone teaching every day of my life. I absolutely love it. Also transfers to, because it's educating is really my underlying theme. So speaking, doing speaking engagements that are about all these positive things. The workshops I do from my other hat that I wear at Champlain all falls under the same umbrella. And I have to look at I have to keep, a clock close by, because I'll keep my students like till midnight because I'm so excited. So we're talking about, and I found out, sort of what I was good at, years ago when I the first minute I stepped on campus. So when you find out what you're good at, it doesn't make a lot of sense, energetically speaking, to continue to try to get better at what you're bad at or average at. So again, I'm not talking about becoming a better listener with your partner. That's a whole nother conversation. We're talking about your calling professionally. It's way better to hone in on this, the natural stuff you may have talent wise, the skill sets you learn, and most of all, what fills your cup into overflowing with fulfillment. And so Greg McCowan in his book Essentialism, which again I'm absolutely wrapped up in, he says there's basically the essence, what is sort of the core mind of an essentialist, which I'm in the process of becoming. I'm sort of like a novice, but I'm still going to identify that way. I am an essentialist. There's power to saying that. He talks about there being three sort of realities without which existentialist thinking would neither be relevant nor possible. And so the first one he talks about is individual choice. So Greg says we can choose how to spend our energy and time. We're talking about our life minute. That's how I say it, right? Without choice, there's no point in talking about trade offs. So a lot of times you hear people talking about, oh, I can't do that. I'm too busy. Oh, I can't. My schedule does. Who's in charge of your schedule? So you got to really take a look at that. If you're, I'm too busy, I'm too this, I'm too, and they'll say, I don't even have 10 minutes. And Tony Robbins would say, if you don't have 10 minutes of your own, you don't have a life. And that's just how it is. So realizing that in reality, we are in, we're in the driver's seat with our schedule. Not that we can't feel like we're on a runaway train at times, but we really need to take a look at that if that's what's happening, because there's nobody to point the finger at but ourselves. And the next one is the prevalence of noise. Almost everything is noise. And Greg says, and a very few things are exceptionally valuable. This is the justification for taking time to figure out what is most important, because some things are so much more important. The effort in finding those things is worth it. When I first read this chapter, I don't know, a few months ago, I thought, wow, because I know for me, I've definitely had this happen in my life, and I've bitten the hook. I'll tell you that right now. Especially, I think when I was starting out, because I was home with the kids for a while, and I dabbled and I did a few seminars here and there. But when I really went full throttle into teaching and doing seminars and things like that, anybody who called me to speak, anybody get da 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 da, no matter how small, no matter if I was into it, I just grabbed everything, because I was trying to make a name for myself. This is a while ago, decade and a half or two ago, maybe longer than that, a couple decades ago. Let's just say that. And then, and there is something to be said for kind of getting started, but then I kind of got conditioned, for lack of a better word, to just kind of say yes to too much when I didn't need. At a certain point, I wasn't in the paying my dues spot anymore. because I got used to it. This is a good opportunity. It pays well, and it's da da da. Even though it's 4 hours away, and da da, da, and I got a hotel, and 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 now I'm very into running around speaking engagements now. But now I have a filter. I have a filter for, first of all, do I love it? Because I have to love it to do it. That's the stage of life I'm in. I have to love it to do it. It has to be worth my time, and that's it. And not to say that I don't do a few pro bono things sometimes, just because I'm a pay it forward person. I actually just did one about I don't know, a few weeks ago at a high school on anxiety and mindfulness and things. But in general now, because if I accepted a lot of these things that are considered good, quote unquote, good opportunities, I would half ass the one big one I wanted to do, and I don't think we always understand that. And the essentialist is spot on accurate about the half-assing thing, because something's got to give. There is only so many of our life minutes we can devote to any one thing. And the essentialist book, actually, Greg's book. We're not talking about this today, but this does dip into our relationships. Huge. Today we're focusing on embracing our calling, and he says, that we've really got to realize there is a ton of noise out there. And I actually have to do a shout out to my former dean, Laurel, if she's listening, because she um, really helped me through, professionally. And also, I outed myself to her way early on about my ADHD, which I now refer to as a fast mind club. And it was so valuable with helping me way back when filter out the noise, because there's a lot of noise. When you're out there in the world professionally, there's a lot of noise. No matter what your field is, no matter what it is you're doing, teaching elementary school, you have your own yoga business, you're a lawyer, you're a medical person of all the different types of ways you can be a medical person, whatever it is, people are going to want a piece of you constantly, especially if you're one of those who's good at it and makes it look effortless, makes it look easy. Those are the people that everybody wants, because you're reliable and you make it look so effortless. So we have to really kind of learn to filter out the noise and to sift through what we can realistically take on and do it well. And then the third one, Greg talks about as being the reality of trade-offs. This was my heart. I'm telling you, when I first read this, I'm like, oh my gosh, because I've sort of naturally kind of honed it in, but I got a ways to go with this to be real. Like this, like pulled the blanket off my thinking, and exposed exposed some honesty. I really had to, like, really kind of it did a like it had me reflecting, I guess is what I'm saying. Because I realized that I'm a work in progress with this. I'm not definitely not all the way there yet. So the reality of trade-offs, we can't have it all or do it all. But here's the thing. If you ask me this cognitively, I know that. So if you said, "Hey Kim, do you understand the reality of trade-offs? You can't have it all or do it all." And I would say, "Of course." When you're burning it at both ends, something's going to give, and it's probably going to be you, and you're going to get sick. Plus, cognitively speaking, with my degree in cognitive psychology. Is my mouth going, or my mind's going faster than my mouth because I'm so excited. I'm also aware of the cognitive reserves and cognitive load, and sometimes things take more cognitive effort than others. Example: washing the dishes versus playing chess with somebody who's really good at it. Okay, there's take different amounts of cognitive juice. So I'm aware of all that, and I would tell you that. But in reality, I wasn't really living that fully, partially getting it a little, but not nearly to where I want to be. So I just wanted to put my honesty out there. So Greg says, if we could, there would be no reason to evaluate or eliminate options. Once we accept the reality of trade-offs, we stop asking, how can I make it all work? And start asking the more honest question, which problem do I want to solve? Oh, I love this. Just to wind it up here, Greg says only when we understand remember these three realities, let's just repeat them. Individual choice. We are the only ones in charge of our schedule. That's just the plain simple truth. The prevalence of noise. Almost everything is noise, and very few things are exceptionally valuable. So We can choose it, our schedule. There's noise everywhere, so we got to realize that. And the reality of trade-offs is that we can't have it all or do it all. We got to make choices. And so only when we understand these realities can we begin to think like an essentialist. And with how I started out with this episode is about, how we spend so much time because we're not making the choices and considering everything is important, or most things as important. We spend so much time attempting to be good at what we're bad at or better at what we're average at, when in reality we are way, way better off and happier and more fulfilled becoming great at what we're already good at. Awesome. Okay, this is Kimberly Quinn signing off from Northern Vermont. Have a mindful day.